Sailing beta is officially out now, and since we missed on the alpha, I think now it's time to give it a shot. I'm going to try to keep the negative vibes away and just try to explore it and get my own personal take on it without ruining it, and we can actually figure out what it's like. The second you log in, you'll be introduced to Will and Ann, who will proceed to hire you for a job that you did not apply for, and then proceed to betray you and push you off the boat in the middle of the ocean. And this is your introduction. Keeping in mind that I didn't do the alpha, I had to read through some of the dialogue and figure out what's being said, why it's being said, and how it's being said to kind of get some context. The thing I really appreciated, though, was the interactions with Polly the Parrot here, because it gave me a good chuckle that I definitely was not prepared for. Also dug the fashion this guy's wearing. 2 thumbs up. One immediate downside with this is that while we are in a bar with pirates and beer, I don't see a place to sit down, so hopefully that gets fixed. There are some similarities between the various islands. I did enjoy the scenery and the various islands that are set across the different maps. Skilling information tab is actually pretty in-depth for being a beta, and I'm actually kind of digging it. And the fact that it shows all these different information from the ports, the Barracuda trials, the crew, the customization, the facilities, things of that nature is just awesome. Showing the ports, I think, was a really big plus here. The fact that it shows all the different places you can go. So Brimhaven, Catherby, Port Gazard, Ardoyne, all these different things. It's really cool. And I think it's going to allow a lot of variety for how you want to go about it, what you want to put on your boat, and how you want to train it. I think things are still being put together and everything, hence why there's a beta here. But overall, I'm thinking that this can be really, really neat in how they apply it, especially once experience rates are brought into play. The fact that you can customize and also have a crew to help assist you with as well is just phenomenal. I think that if they also include clan abilities to do with this, then it could just expand it even further. While this had nothing to do with the skill itself, the one thing I enjoyed was while testing this beta, there's only a few of us on, and the people that were having just as much fun with it as I was. So everybody was just as lost and everybody was just having a good time being on the boat and acting like a pirate. So it added for some amusement. The controls were honestly pretty smooth, all things being considered. I wish that there was a way to kind of just go through these, but I guess you can't really go through walls either on land, so I guess it makes sense. And there were some things that were kind of confusing to me as far as trying to reverse around rocks and things like that, but it's more so user error than anything. You actually have the ability to go on other people's boats as well, not just your own, which I think adds a lot more collaboration, and I'm wondering how that's going to go for like experience rates and group activities and stuff like that. And the fact that you can actually explore these different islands with another person or people is actually going to be quite invigorating. As far as actual playing goes, it's the standard point and click as you would on the seas. In order to disembark, you have to dock your boat first and then you disembark. And then once you're actually on land, there's actually tasks that you can do to start getting points, experience, and rewards, and things like that. So like in this case, we have the ability to take some cargo from Port Sarum to the Pandemonium in order to get rewards and some experience. So once you actually decide that you want to accept that task, you then select it, and then you walk over to the table over here, and then you pick up your cargo in question, and then you have to take it back to your boat and store it in order to actually take it there. Just don't forget that you actually need to build a cargo hold before you actually store your cargo, because otherwise you're just going to be holding a crate of supplies and not being able to move. And then once you actually reach your destination, don't forget to actually pull the cargo out before you disembark. That part got me so many times. One of the biggest things that I really like about this sailing skill is the fact that as you progress, you can get bigger and better boats and ships. So rather than our little raft, we can now upgrade to the basic small boat, and then you can actually customize it to how you want to play. So like in this case, you can start off with your schematics and see how you want to adjust it, or you can even grab your supplies from here in order to adjust and build things. So like in this case, it's got everything under the sun that you're going to need, obviously being the beta. It starts with coins, it starts with bars, it starts with bolts of cloth, planks, you name it. So then you come over to your ship and then you actually open up the interface and see what you want to build. So obviously we already built our cargo, but let's say we want to build a cannon, right? So we're going to need some planks, some bronze bars, and some bronze nails. So what we're going to do is we're going to disembark. We're going to go back to the storage. Obviously, we're going to need some money, so we already got that. So we're going to then grab the items that we need. So we're going to need some planks here. So let's go ahead and grab those really quick. We already have the nails, so now we're going to grab the bars and get those out. And of course, you're going to need a hammer and saw, which you can get over there as well. And then you just put them in just like construction and you just build it. And then there you go. You got the cannon on your ship. You also got some construction experience. And then you can do the same for these other two as well. And they're going to allow you to build things like a wind catcher, a keg, a salvaging hook, things like that. Of course, the higher your level and the more supplies you have, the more things you're going to be able to build. Of course, one of the biggest highlights of this beta is actually being able to do some form of combat. So like in this case, we're able to use our cannonballs and our cannon to attack sharks, which can be used for completing tasks. Once shark is done, then we can then harvest them and bring them into the boat and then reap the rewards of getting some loot. How he does it by himself, I'm not sure, but hey, go team. Another bonus here is you don't always have to take your boat. You can simply pay a small fee to the seamen here at the docks and they will transport you from dock to dock, which I imagine will save significant amount of time depending on what you're doing. Another huge thumbs up from me is the ability to hire crew members for your ship and sailing adventures. Like in this case, we're going to talk to Jobless Jim so that way we can have some form of help out there on the great ocean. All right, we are back on the boat and we have verified that Jobless Jim is present and ready for duty. The cool part is you can actually assign him different duties. So like if you want him to steer, you can have him steer. If you want him to shoot the cannon, he can shoot the cannon. Just make sure that you have the appropriate materials in the cargo for them to use. So like in this case, if you're having him man the cannon, he's going to need some cannonballs to fire. Once that's the case, then once you navigate to an enemy and you click on the enemy, he will do the rest and start firing as needed. Once he's done all the work, then you can then reap the rewards and the benefits of doing nothing and just steering the ship. In this case, we got an Addy longsword, so that's actually not bad, but I wonder what the rest of the jobs are going to be. One of the craziest things to me is the fact that they added all these names and bodies of water. I mean, look at this. I mean, you have the Lumbridge Basin, the Bay of Sarum, the Mudskipper Sound, the Remington Strait, Brimhaven Passage. Oh, like, holy crap. I mean, look at all this. It's just, it's enormous. Honestly, I mean, it's Ardent Ocean and the Storm Timber. I wonder how that's going to be. But honestly, it's just like, if you think about it, to me, looking at this, it looks kind of like a oceanic form of the wilderness. So like you're out and about and you all of a sudden you just get attacked and possibly robbed. But we'll see how this goes. But honestly, it seems kind of fun. I know a lot of people haven't been really paying attention to the guide. They've just been kind of winging it and figuring it out for themselves. But if you are wanting to follow it step by step and really get an in-depth look at how this works, you can click on the sailing beta icon on the left-hand side just above the chat box, and it'll give you a summary of all the things and tasks that you can do, as well as any commonly asked questions that you may have in training, which is helpful. All right, so I wasn't actually expecting this, but apparently you can actually retrieve lost crates out at sea, and then potentially, I'm assuming you get some form of loot. So let's go ahead and pull it in and see what we get. Okay, so we get some mind runes. I mean, it's just mind runes, but who knows? In the actual game, once it's released, maybe it'll actually be something that's a little more useful. Overall, I think this is going to be a pretty solid addition to the game. It's actually pretty smooth and relatively enjoyable, but do I think that there's things that need to be patched up? Yes, I do. So long as we're not running into another agility or rune crafting where the experience rate is really low or the drops are horrendous. And if that's the case, then I think it will die quickly. But otherwise, I think it has a chance to thrive. Now that the second beta is out, what are your thoughts on sailing? Are you for it, against it, neutral? Let me know in the comments. Otherwise, we'll see how this goes in the next few months.